And we could cross to Anne Reynaud, member of the Association for the Right to Die with Dignity, one of the civil society groups that's been pushing hard for legislation. Thank you for speaking with us here on France 24.
Thank you for your invitation.
So there's a lot of gray areas here to unpack from what we've heard, but this is a big day. It's been years. Has it been years for you personally in this battle?
So in this battle, I've been in the DMD association since 2021. I've lost my mother 10 years ago, and it will be the 10 years anniversary in October. So it's not that long, but I'm concerned by the situation since quite a long time now.
And so now this legislation is finally passing. It's got strict conditions. There's a panel. Then afterwards, the patient or has 48 hours to decide whether or not to go through with it. Your thoughts on the way the legislation has been crafted? Is it true to what was discussed in those citizens' conventions that were consultative beforehand?
Actually, it's less than what was discussed during the Convention citoyenne, because in the discussion in 2022, there was an equality between assisted suicide and euthanasia, which is not the case anymore in the bill, in the actual bill. Now, there's 2 days indeed, but 2 days after the 15 days, when the doctors are checking with other healthcare professionals if the patient is eligible or not to benefit from a French assisted dying.
And it's going to have to involve somebody who is of sound mind. That is to say, you can't have, for instance, somebody who suffers from dementia or who's in a coma. It has to be the patient itself, the person itself who decides.
Exactly. The patient needs to be conscious until the very end. So the last minute, he or she must be able to say, I still want to benefit from this assisted dying.
Would your mother have been in that category?
That's a difficult question because actually she was suffering from cancer. So normally, yes, but at the very end of her life, for the last few days, she was hallucinating. So I'm not sure that any physician would have accepted, because of the lack of consciousness, for her to get the assisted dying at that time. But I'm not sure about it. And this is a real question we are asking ourselves about this law, is what's going to happen if we have someone who is eligible at the very beginning of the process and is not eligible anymore when the act will be done. So we'll see certainly in few months or few years, because we think that it's going to be some case like that in the future.
And the words assisted suicide don't appear in the legislation. But point of fact, isn't that what this is?
We gather the term assisted suicide and euthanasia under one term called aide à mourir in French, so assisted dying. So you can ask some deputies and some senators, they don't want to use the word euthanasia anymore because of what happened during World War II. In our association, we'll just use the term aide à mourir, because actually assisted suicide and euthanasia are not the same thing. Assisted suicide, the patient is taking himself the product to die. When euthanasia, they have someone from the healthcare team providing the product. So it's very difficult, and to simplify the explication, we use the term aide à mourir, but in France, it will be an assisted suicide first, with an exception of euthanasia if the person cannot do the gesture herself.
Anne Reynaud, the government is pushing the bill. Those who are close to Emmanuel Macron will vote for it, and yet the Prime Minister is going to go to the Constitutional Council for appeals to see if the legislation stands. Can you explain that? Why is it that the challenge is coming from a government that's sponsoring the bill?
Because actually, the thing is, it's not concerning the whole bill. It's gonna concern only 3 different points. One is about the conscience clause for healthcare establishments. The second point will concerning protected adults, and the last point will concern the 48 hours withdrawal periods. So it's not the whole law who is concerned by this constitutional council requests. The thing is, what the Prime Minister is asking now to the Constitutional Council is, can you please confirm that the discussion and the law which has been voted by the National Assembly is in the Constitution or not? It's not disapproving what has been voted, it's just confirming for the opposition to say, we asked the Constitutional Council and they approve, so there's anything more to say about it and to contest.
Your association regretted the fact that there wasn't one big bill that also included palliative care. That was broken off into a separate bill. As France's population ages, why did you think it was important to have both ideas, the assisted dying and palliative care, in one piece of legislation?
Because actually they are complementary. You cannot have a good law for assisted dying when you don't have good palliative care. So we are very happy that the law about palliative care had this huge vote and everybody agreed on that text. But to be fair, what need hospital today, and especially palliative care, is money. It's not a law. So what we wanted is really one text combining the two process. And because again, it is very important to have good palliative care in France, but it will not help people who are suffering from some disease which are not helped with palliative care. So that's why it was very important for us. And if you look at Belgium, for example, when they did their law in 2002, they improved the palliative care at the same times when they organized assisted suicide and euthanasia. So that's very important for us to have both laws together and an improvement in both sectors.
Anne Reynaud, many thanks for speaking with us. Anne Reynaud of the Association for the Right to Die with Dignity.